So I'm here with noted author Roger Bleile, who's written a number of American engraver books over the decades. And he's got an interesting piece here in front of us. What have you got there, Mr. Bleile?
Well, we've got a Chinese-made Type 52 semi-automatic pistol that is produced in China as a copy of the German Walther PPK. That in itself is pretty unique. Until I saw this gun, I'd never encountered a Chinese Type 52. They just don't get into this country in any numbers. But this is undoubtedly the most unique Type 52 in the world. This is a work of the engraver's art at the highest level. This was engraved by a Chinese engraver named Tsu Ifan, who now lives in the United States, and he is the only Chinese engraver who is a certified master engraver by the Firearms Engravers Guild of America, having passed a rigorous examination and showing a wide variety of his unique work. So this pistol has been boxed up in this antique Chinese box. This style of thing in furniture and in various types of artwork is known in the English-speaking world as chinoiserie. And there was, in the late 19th century, earlier 20th century, particularly in England, but also in the United States, there was a great amount of interest in Chinese art and Chinese artifacts, which some of the fine ones were made by British cabinet makers. And so chinoiserie refers to something made in the Chinese style. So since this gun was engraved and inlaid, Ifan has since immigrated to the United States, but he was a resident of China at the time he did this work, though the work was done while he was temporarily in the United States with gun engraver and certified master Scott Pilkington. And there was a certain amount of collaboration on the piece in terms of the design of the work, and but all of the work was executed by Ifan. So taking this out, it's a most unique piece. I've handled thousands of engraved guns over my career, being an engraver myself and having written a number of books on the subject of gun engraving and magazine articles and so forth. This is a gun truly fit for a Chinese emperor, if there was any emperors left. They're all historic figures now. But a lot of the work on here refers to the Chinese various imperial dynasties. So the grips I'll point out here are cast in bronze and then chased. The designs here are completely done by Ifan. Naturally, a dragon motif is something that's everyone associates with Chinese art. And here you see a banner here, which is sort of a replica of the Walther banner, but instead it has the star and 356 on here, which is the number of the Chinese factory where this the primary firearm was made. Over here, the dragon motif is carried on also over here, and the dragon's tail kind of forms a banner up in this area. There are a lot of different styles of work incorporated here, amazingly so. In this area, and you need to see really close-ups of all of it, are what are called square animals in Chinese art. So back here is a snake, the tail wraps around, and then two gold inlaid eyes in relief. And up in this area is a sort of a dragon-like figure, and similarly back here. And that motif is carried over to the other side with further Chinese square animals or mythological figures. This style of engraving here and here on the muzzle and the back end of the slide is, I believe, called cracked ice. I've never seen that in any engraving done in the Western world. It's unique to China. Over here, the original number stamped in here, 356, was again for the Chinese factory that made this gun. Here on the breech end of the barrel is inlaid in gold in Chinese, the art of war. So that's the translation of these Chinese characters here. Inlaid in gold, and then around them is further inlays in silver. Now, you can notice that there are gold borders, flat gold borders that surround parts of the slide. And what you need a magnifying glass to really appreciate in these borders is that there is a extremely small fretwork has been engraved within all of those borders. I refer to it as Grecian frets. You see it in Greek architecture quite a bit. But of course, these kind of motifs go back to ancient China as well as to ancient Greece. So it's something that you can find commonly in both cultures. Up in here are engraved scenes from battles that occurred in ancient China. They're, again, so detailed. In common parlance amongst engravers and gun collectors, this style of work is called Bulino engraving, and that term comes from the Italian word Bulino, which is an engraver's graver that is called in English a burin or a burin, depending upon how you want to pronounce it. But it's a hand-pushed graver. And this is done under high magnification, and it's very much like photorealism when you can get a close-up look of at the work that's been done here. One of the things that really impresses me is the scroll work that's in this area. This could be referred to as cloud scroll, but I've seen a lot of different scroll work used on guns over my career. And the way this scroll work is beveled and the way it's executed as well as designed.
It's really sculpted, three-dimensional looking,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Three-dimensional sculpting, absolutely. Not easy to do. It takes a really highly refined skill to sculpt that the way it is. And it's on both sides in here. On this side near the magazine release. Our engraver has signed his name in cursive up here, and then you can't see this, but on the back of the trigger, the engraver has signed his name in Chinese characters back there. So it's double signed both in Chinese and in Roman cursive script. The front strap is engraved with an aircraft that was used by Chinese aviators very early in the World War II era, from the late 1930s. And Chinese aviators were recruited from around the world to join the Chinese Air Force, and these biplanes were their earliest planes. Later on, of course, everybody knows of the Flying Tigers, where that was the American volunteer group that came into China and flew for the Chinese, but they had their own Chinese aviators who flew these early planes. Here on the bottom, you kind of have to know what that is. It's inlaid in gold. Excuse me. That's what you call a hand cannon. The earliest firearms in existence are what can be called a hand cannon or a touch hole gun. And I'll give you an example. Pardon me. And that's what this is. It's a muzzle-loaded black powder weapon. You put the gunpowder in, you put your projectile in here, and there's a hole here. And you point that toward the enemy, and you take a red-hot poker and you stick it in that hole, and kaboom, it fires. That is the earliest form of firearm known to man. These originated in China and eventually came to Europe, and commonly in gun collecting are called a touch hole gun, because the touch hole is the firing mechanism. It's as simple and crude as possible. And on here is written in Chinese with an arrow, front towards enemy. So this is kind of a play on words, because to American GIs who are familiar with a claymore mine, it looks about the same one direction or the other, but one side says front towards enemy, so that you know which way to point the thing when you implant it. It doesn't shoot back on the soldier that planted the thing. So that was on the trigger guard of the pistol. But overall, there are so many elements to this gun. It is one of the most unique firearms that I've ever seen. Back here is the one part that's totally plain, and that's left that way intentionally so that the eventual purchaser can have their name or a monogram or a saying, whatever they like, engraved into that area. Back here even is very finely inlaid Chinese scroll that's inlaid in silver. And much of this some of it's explained here. This is a bamboo scroll with sayings from Sun Tzu's Art of War, which is one of the most famous books ever written. It was written in ancient China by General Sun Tzu, and even today, military men and business leaders study Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War, because even though it was written centuries ago, it still applies in many of its facets today. This is a Chinese Army oil bottle. You can see the Chinese characters on it, and it's divided into two parts here. And I don't read Chinese, so I don't know what that says on each side there.
One I believe is for the oil, and one would be for the bore cleaner.
For the bore cleaner, so oil and bore cleaner. And you have some ammunition here, which is dummy ammo. It's got the hole drilled in it, so you know that it's dummy ammunition. But this is what we in America call 32 ACP, but is more commonly known in the rest of the world as 7.65 millimeter. So we've got a little block with 6 of them there. And then here is the magazine for the pistol, and another dummy round in the magazine.
I would note right here that there's 2 unaltered original parts. One being the magazine, it has all of its original finish, and the extractor on the gun still has the original finish from 1952.
In 1952, the original manufacturing date of this. Right in the heart of the Maoist period, which, of course, the Chinese communists under Mao took over the country in 1949, and that was the year that Chiang Kai-shek and his adherents were pushed out onto the island of Formosa, which is in Taiwan. So altogether, we've got a most unique garniture here with the pistol and various related items. The Art of War, provenance of a Chinese Army Type 52, made by Factory 356 in 1952. Engraving and inlay by Tsu Ifan. Grip carving and engraving by Tsu Ifan. Bronze casting by Paul Hamler. Combination, commission, and metalwork by Scott Pilkington of Monteagle, Tennessee. Scott and I have been good friends for many, many years, and have a lot of collaborations together. But this is really something very special. Whoever ends up owning this can be very proud of having the most unique artifact here. This is really, yes, legally it's a firearm, but in reality it's an objet d'art. And anyone would be pleased to own this setup.
That's very fascinating, Mr. Bleile. Thank you so much.